Maybe in 3, 2, 1. Live.
Hi everyone, my name's Jamie Ratcliff. I'm the Executive Director of Business Performance and Partnerships here at Network Homes. This is our third digital resident engagement event we've done. We're still quite a lot under the numbers of people that had signed up to it, so I'm just going to talk a little bit to you for the next few minutes while we wait for more people to come in, and then we'll kick off properly. But I thought it was better for you to be able to see me and know that we are getting on with this event. Might run through some of the team's functionality while we're waiting to start properly. You should be able to see a Q&A box which you can click on if you move your mouse near where there's a red telephone to hang up, which we'd rather you didn't do. You should be able to click on that and type in questions which you submit, and they'll be able to be seen by everybody once they've been reviewed and published. All of you who can see me have obviously got instructions on how to join this event. The way this is going to work is I'm going to give a bit of an overview and an explanation of what we're trying to do here, and then and at the moment I can't see any of you. Then we're going to split into smaller groups for discussion, kind of like table discussion if we were doing this in real life. And at that table discussion, you'll have a moderator there from Network Homes who will help to sort of guide the discussion, help to capture the feedback that you're giving. And if you've got your camera on, they'll be able to see you, you'll be able to see them, and other residents who are participating in the discussions. Then we're going to have a table discussion for about 30 minutes. And after that, we'll all come back together as a whole group for some further feedback and also an opportunity to ask questions. Just to check there are people out there, it'd be good maybe if somebody could type in a question and we could just check that part of it's working. So anybody wants to send in a question, just check we know there's people out there, and then I think we'll probably kick off in the next few minutes. Thanks everyone for joining so far and for being patient with us. We're just waiting to try and maximise the number of people who are going to be involved. This is my daughter, come to have a look. Number of people who are going to be involved. We've had quite a lot of people sign up. We just want to make sure that everyone who wants to be here is here and gets a chance to see from the beginning. So just give it another minute, I think, and then I'll kick off. Sorry, I'm muting myself. Yeah, we've got somebody who has sent in a question, so thank you very much for that. We've now published that from Kyle, so we know you're out there, Kyle. That's great. Kyle's asked what the other sessions were. We had one session, and colleagues here can remind me if I get this wrong. We had a broader session, which was largely a question and answer session with other colleagues who are executive directors and members of our senior management team. We covered kind of a range of topics in that, including our approach to repairs, to building safety, and neighbourhood management, including managing antisocial behaviour. And then we had lots of questions that we got through from residents. We had one problem when we started that, which was that we weren't able to go live immediately, which we've managed to solve this time, which is good. And then the second session that we did was a resident session for an area in where we own a number of homes. There's another question's come in on how many more sessions we're holding. There's lots, I think, is the answer, and we've got a schedule for some of them. And we can publish that and make sure that that's available to lots of people. It is already on the website, I'm told. Okay, just checking with colleagues if we think it's worth starting now. How many people have we got? Yeah. Okay, so I think we're going to kick off now with the introduction from me. For those of you who weren't there at the beginning, my name's Jamie Ratcliff. I'm the Executive Director for Business Performance and Partnerships at Network Homes. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your evenings to come and participate in this session, which is our third virtual resident event, which is themed around embracing inclusive communities. And I'm going to say a little bit in introduction about what that means to us. We're then going to be splitting into a number of smaller groups for discussion, where we really want to have an interactive talk with people, hear feedback on how else you might like to get involved, influence what we're doing, and also listen to your suggestions of what we could do different or better. And so I think this fits into a wider theme of activity where we've done a lot of work at Network Homes around equality, diversity and inclusion. We have had like strong internal groups, and particularly focused on our staff and colleagues working here. A number of fun events that we've done themed around things like International Women's Day, Black History Month and Pride, which raises awareness of different aspects of diversity and inclusion. Some of the work that we've done at Network was recognised last year in the Housing Heroes Awards, where our Equality, Diversity and Inclusion team won Team of the Year on equality, diversity. But we recognise that we need to do more, and particularly we're keen on doing more in terms of thinking about what equality and diversity means to residents, how we deliver services, how we could be better on that. We had a previous equality, diversity and inclusion strategy, and all of the actions on that had been completed. So we started a piece of work, I think probably the back end of 2019, looking at could we produce something a bit punchier. We're going for sort of 10 points of very clear things that we could get on and do, and that work was just coming to an end at the point when George Floyd was brutally killed in America by police officers, which kicked off a huge discussion in America, but also in this country. So just 1 second. So that was my son talking to me while I'm trying to talk. One of the challenges of working from home during the lockdown. She did come in here, Max, but she's not here now. So yeah, talking about the Black Lives Matter protests, which were a big thing happening all over the world, and provoked lots of discussion in America, in this country, lots of other countries as well. And I think that was useful for us to be able to, as Network, to our colleagues and stakeholders, be able to produce a tangible plan, which we published, I think, just 2 weeks after George Floyd was killed. We had a lot of discussions around Black Lives Matter internally with colleagues, including an all staff question and answer session where I think we had about 300 colleagues come to that, and then a number of smaller discussion groups where we've got lots of rich feedback from over another 100 colleagues. That might be a theme that comes up in terms of the discussions here, and we're interested in hearing what it means for residents. The 10-point plan's on our website, and I'm not going to read through every single one of those 10 points now. The one that I'd just bring your attention to is point 7, which is the thing that we think is most relevant here, which is around how, in terms of equality and diversity, we can learn from residents and empower them to influence us. So point 7 says that we will encourage our resident panels and other engaged resident groups to hold us to account on equality, diversity and inclusion. And as part of the House Proud Pledge, which I'll come to in just a second, that we'll reach out to our LGBTQ plus residents, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer and plus residents, to work together to tackle discrimination. I just wanted to give some examples of why this is relevant to us and why it's important to us as a service provider. And basically, we want to offer a good service to all of our residents, regardless of any characteristics they've got. And briefly, I was just going to talk about the social model of disability, which is, so there's kind of, I guess, more than one, but like two ways you could look at disability, which is one of the characteristics which are relevant to us. You could see that people with disability have got a problem that needs to be overcome, but that's not how we'd like to think at Network Homes. The social model of disability proposes that what disables people or makes them disabled isn't their own personal characteristics, but the attitude and structure of society. And sorry, Mike, I'm just talking. Sorry about that. Social model of disability, and so what actually you need to do as a society or a service provider is think about how your service can be offered inclusively and seamlessly to people with different characteristics. And within that model, there are ways that people can be disabled by society, and it's not just people with physical or mental characteristics, it's a whole range of different things. So people can be disabled by prejudice, by the way that they're labelled, by ignorance of other people, a lack of financial independence, by their families being overprotective to them, or not having enough information in formats which are accessible to them. And like an example of that social model of disability could be that you could design a town entirely for people in wheelchairs, without any steps, with gentle ramps and slopes in places, with something that's safe for people in wheelchairs. And you design your environment like that, then people in wheelchairs or people who can walk around would be able to experience the built environment in exactly the same way. So it's not the fact that somebody's in the wheelchair, it's the way that society has been designed around them. We wanted to just kind of, what might that mean for us as a service provider in terms of different things that we could be doing which might be disabling residents who we're engaging with. There are obviously things like language barriers, where if somebody doesn't understand, speak or write or read English proficiently, then how can we engage with them and provide them the information that they need? We use a service called Language Line, which provides translators. We also have a database of staff who speak different languages fluently, and they can be brought in as translators. The website also has a read aloud tool, and that can work in different languages. There might be some residents that don't wish to interact with specific staff members for cultural reasons, and we would need to understand that and be sensitive to that. We might have people who have hearing impairments, and how we communicate with those in different ways. Like sometimes they might come, if they come into the office, then we could type to them, or use a subtitle function in terms of the engagement that they do. Making sure that our offices where residents are coming in are wheelchair accessible, accessible for people with a range of disabilities, and also in terms of in people's homes, aids and adaptations requests that people have got where they need different things to make sure that they can live within their home. The residents who need that would go to the local authority, and they could be referred to the occupational health team. Sorry, my children are fighting as I'm talking. Lost my place. And another example of residents who are hearing impaired might be that they have visual indicators to enable them to know if somebody's ringing on their door. And then the last example I was going to give is relevant for the House Proud scheme, which I mentioned before, which is something that's been set up as a nationwide network for LGBTQ people working in social housing. And as part of that being set up, they carried out some fairly extensive research with LGBTQ residents. And as part of that, heard some kind of, to me, what were some quite shocking stories of LGBTQ residents effectively hiding their identity. from people coming into their homes. So if they had a repairs contractor coming in, they might like depersonalize their home, hide pictures, hide other of their possessions which they feel might give away their sexuality. And that's obviously something which kind of personally I find quite challenging, that we're providing homes, and it's a home where residents should feel safe and secure and be able to be themselves. So part of the House Proud pledge is wanting to make sure that we're clear to our residents that we want them to be able to feel entirely comfortable, that we are making sure that our staff and our contractors will help them feel comfortable, and there's other things that we can do as part of that. So Network was one of the first housing associations that signed up to the House Proud pledge. And the three key pledges that are there are to ensure that LGBTQ plus residents can have input at a strategic level within the organisation, and to listen to that, to increase the visibility and the openness to LGBTQ by using the Pledge Pioneer symbol for House Proud, which we'd put on all of the emails that we send out externally. So partner organisations and colleagues and residents can see that visibly of our commitment to that, and also a programme of staff training to improve understanding of LGBTQ plus lives, and so that's something that all frontline staff have been through and that will be continuing to go on an ongoing basis. And we've, as Network, we've signed up to go beyond the three basic parts of the House Proud pledge to get Pledge Plus, which involves working with LGBTQ residents to set a range of achievable and time-bound objectives of additional things that we'll do. So as part of this is kind of one of the things kicking that off, trying to find people who do want to engage with us and support us, both in terms of the House Proud pledge, but a range of other services as well. We've got a email address of residentsforchange@networkhomes.org.uk to encourage people to email if you're interested in getting involved in another way. So that's the introduction that I was giving. Apologies, it was slightly interrupted by my children fighting all over the room in a blur of different things. Hopefully less distracting for you than it was for me. So we're now going to move into the sort of table group discussions, smaller groups, where everyone will have a Network Homes colleague there facilitating the discussion and pulling it together. We've given people different groups. I think we have got slightly less people than signed up, so we might combine the groups. So just bear with us as we move into your group, and then your facilitator will work out what's going to happen there. That will be a safe space for discussion. Your facilitator will ask for your consent to record it, which is just purely for us to be able to take notes. Once we've taken notes, we would delete it, so grateful if you could do that. I think, I'm sure I don't need to say this, but this is if people are making any racist, homophobic or inappropriate remarks, that's something that obviously isn't tolerable to us at Network Homes. Kind of if someone makes that by mistake, the facilitator will warn you, but two such mistakes we're not going to tolerate, and we would remove people from the session. Hopefully that provides reassurance to anyone involved in the discussion. So you should know which group to go to, so grateful if you can move to that group now. I'm one of the facilitators, so I will see some of you shortly. Once we're going to have about half an hour to talk that through, and then come back into the broader group for feedback from the facilitators or somebody else who volunteers for it, and any other questions that come up. So I will see those people in my group shortly, and I'll see the rest of you in the final bit towards the end of this. Thank you very much.